Hi there, welcome to the Schwowin's Nest. My name is Sandra and I've got some adorable winter DIYs for you today. Let's get started. So I'm starting off this first project with this Dollar Tree wooden sled. I'm going to paint the top flat portion of it white, and I'm going to paint the little bar across the two rails white as well. I'm going to go ahead and give them 2 coats, letting it dry in between. I'm going to make sure I get all around those dark burned edges from the cutout marks. Before we go any further, I just found out as I was editing this video that I filmed everything in this magnification mode. So everything's going to be pretty close to the screen today, and I do apologize. I hope I won't be too out of frame, but if I am, bear with me and you'll see the results at the end. While I had my white paintbrush out, I grabbed 3 of these little wooden snowmen. Now, I did get these at my local Dollarama store, but they do have them at Dollar Tree, I believe. I just know that my Dollar Tree doesn't carry any of these guys. I'm going to be painting 3 of them white, but I end up only using 2. For the rails, I decided to go with this sage green color, and I'm going to make sure that it's really nice and covered. I really like this color for more of a neutral kind of wintry green color. I think it's really pretty. It's also good for the spring, so basically it's probably a good year-round color, but you can definitely paint the rails any color you like. I've replaced the jute twine hanger with this black and white twine that I got from Michael's last year. I've used it quite a bit. I'm almost out, so I'm going to have to restock. I'm going to tie a couple of double knots, and I've already got it fed through the one side of the sled. I'm just going to pull that through, measure out how long I want the hanger to be, then feed it through the other hole and tie a couple of knots there as well. The little snowmen have dried, so I'm just taking some black paint and I'm going to just paint their little hats. I end up, like I said earlier, just using 2 of these, so I'm only going to paint 2 of the hats. I just make sure that I'm really careful going around the little brim because I don't want to schmutz up any of the white. I used my Cricut to cut out the word "Let It Snow" in black, and now I'm just putting it right on the sled, more towards the bottom because I'll be putting some decorations towards the top. And again, because I'm a little magnified here, you might not be able to see everything, but I do use my Cricut scraper and then very carefully peel off the transfer tape and then add the words "Let It" on the top of this. To start decorating, I'm going to add this buffalo check double loop bow. This is a 2-finger bow that I made, and I left the tails extra long this time because I want to do something a little bit different. I have been watching my sweet friend Linda over at Faith Chick 777's DIY by Design, and she has some beautiful projects that she creates, and she always leaves her ribbon tails a little bit longer so she can make a little bit of a design with them and glue them down so she has them the way she wants them to be. So I'll be showing you that shortly. But first, I'm just going to take some more of that black and white twine and I'm going to just create a little shoestring bow that I'll glue right on top of the original bow. I left the tails of the shoestring bow purposely long as well. I'm just tying a knot down at towards the end, and then I'm going to just take that knot, hot glue it to the hat of the little wooden snowman. You can see that I've already done one there, and then I'll be able to place them where I want them to be. They'll still look like they're hanging off of the ribbon, but they'll actually be glued right on top of the sled. Now I'm going to be adding some of these little wooden snowflakes. I've got a couple of different colors, this turquoise and then one that is about a charcoal color. I'm just going to put this one turquoise one up by the bows. That's just going to give a nice little pop of color and tie it into the green rails. Before I go any further, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the tails of these ribbons. And this is what Linda does all the time. She kind of gives them a bit of a curl and then glues them down. And then she gets this wavy look on these tails, and it just looks so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and dovetail my little end here and then glue part of it a little bit more. You can see I'm just kind of pushing it up so it has a little bit of a wave to it. And I think this looks so pretty. If you have a chance, go check out Linda over at Faith Chick 777's DIY by Design. She has so many beautiful crafts and does a beautiful step-by-step explanation of everything she does. Now I'm going to glue down my little snowmen and have them sit in such a way that they look like they're just kind of falling off the ribbon, but they look so adorable. And at this point, I was debating whether I should put little faces on them. You guys let me know in the comments if you like them with or without the faces. I'm going to continue adding some more embellishments. I've got a little jingle bell. I'm going to add some more snowflakes in the different colors, some greenery, and then at the end, I'm going to add just a little bit of Epsom salt to different places, just where I place some hot glue and then drop the Epsom salt on top. And of course, I add little faces for my snowmen. You'll have to let me know what you think of this first project. I think it's my favorite. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, welcome. I'm so glad you decided to click on it. If you like what you see so far, I'd love it if you could hit that red button too. Project, it was a work in progress. I had something in mind, as you can see with the snowflake to the right there, but it didn't turn out the way I thought, so I had just changed up on the fly. I've got this wood cutout. This is a 1/4 inch plywood, and I'm going to be painting just the top of it white. Now, these cutouts are going to be available on my Etsy shop in 2 different sizes. This size is about 8 inches tall, and I'm going to also have a 5-inch tall one available for you. I'm just using a glue stick on this wood round. You could get one of these at the Dollar Tree. I know they have tons of different styles and shapes, but I'm just going to use this round one for now. I'm going to be putting some scrapbook paper on it, and this scrapbook paper is from a Christmas paper pack, but I thought it was really pretty with just the snow falling and the blurred Christmas trees on the bottom. I'll just trim off the excess using my craft knife. Now I'm taking some fine grit sandpaper and just cleaning off the edges, making sure that they're all cut off really well. But I also wanted to distress the paper a little bit. You can see that there's some white showing through when some of the green comes off. And I just thought that would give it a really pretty old look. I have seen other crafters make little hats for their snowmen just using a roll of toilet paper, cutting it down maybe about a 1/2 inch, and then taking some yarn or wool or twine and feeding it through and making a little hat design out of it. I needed something a little bit bigger than a toilet paper roll, so I just used a piece of cardstock and folded it the way I needed it. This is actually taped together just with some masking tape, and it's probably almost 3 inches. Now I'm just going to be taking some of this white cotton twine and I'm going to loop it through as you see me doing here. It's almost a little bit of a macrame knot, and then I'm going to push everything together towards the side. You can see that the cardboard area or the cardstock area is actually going to be the brim of the hat. And every once in a while, I decided to add a white and black one just to give the hat a little bit more color and texture. I'll just continue this all the way across until I get to the other end of the little cardboard tube. But I'm just going to be doing the top side. I don't need anything on the back. I took another piece of the twine and now I'm going to just lay the little hat right on top of the twine. And this is the back side of the hat. I want the corner ends to kind of fold in so it looks 3D, although it's still going to be flat. So I'm just going to take my extra piece of twine, tie it together, and you can see how it just kind of comes together and makes a little hat shape. As I said, this is the back of it. I'm just going to knot that, and then I'll turn it around and see if I need to make any adjustments to it. You can pull some of the pieces out a little bit longer if you need them to puff out a bit more. And then I'm going to take my fabric scissors and cut the little tails off the top, and that will create a cute little pom-pom hat. Using some hot glue, I'm going to add some to the one side of the snowman's head. I always like my snowman's hats to be a little off to the side like this. I just think it adds so much to the character. With the extra flaps that you see on the side where the cardstock is, I just cut that tube in the back and then I'll just trim these off and glue everything down so it stays put. I just folded the edge of that cardstock over on itself towards the back, and that kept it there just fine. The next step is to glue our little snowman right onto the wood sign, and because I don't ever center anything, I'm going to put him off to the left, and that will give me some room to put some embellishments or maybe some writing on the right. I'm just going to have his little hat hang off a little bit. I think that just looks super cute. To give his hat a little bit more dimension, I just put some hot glue on the top there where I want to glue it, and then I just kind of push that pom-pom down a little bit, and his hat just kind of puffed out a little bit more. He is adorable so far, and I'm so glad I changed my mind and went in this direction. For his little buttons, I'm going to use these little wood circles. These are just extra pieces that fall off when I'm doing some cuts with my laser cutter, but you could also use buttons or half round beads. Whatever you have in your stash would work just fine. I'm going to take my Sharpie marker and just draw two little dots in the center and make them look like buttons. I like to do my eyes with an upside down U. That's how I start them. And if they're not exactly the same, that's okay. Then I'm going to take my marker and go from the inside corner across the bottom. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a tail. That gives you a nice little round cheek effect. Next, I draw another little arc inside of the eye, and then I start coloring that black. But I like to draw a little circle, and then that will become the little shiny white dot on my eye. If you don't do the little circle, you can definitely just go in with a little paint pen or even just the end of your paintbrush and some white paint and put a little white dot just so he has a bit of sparkle. I'm going to draw some little circle dots all the way around and give him a beautiful smiling face. Then for his nose, I just like to do a little backwards C, and that gives him just a nice chubby little nose. So my snowman's starting to look pretty cute, but he's a little bare. He needs a scarf. I'm just going to take some of this twine that I used for his hat, wrap it around all four of my fingers. I think I did it about 20 times. Then I'm going to tie off both ends, sort of like when you would be doing a tassel, but I'm not going to actually make a tassel. I'm just going to tie off both ends so I have a circle. I pull through a piece of twine on one end of the yarn and then tie it real tight. And then I'll do the same thing for the other end of the yarn, making sure that I've got it fairly even. To make the scarf, I'm going to cut one of the ends right close to the knot, and then I'm going to have a long piece that'll have two knots, one in the end, one in the center, and then a loose end, sort of like a tassel. I'm going to clean off any of the extra strings that I don't need, and then I'm going to use my hot glue gun and glue down the one part of the knot on the inside first. I folded in the knot a little bit so you wouldn't actually see that, and then it'll kind of come up and over so the knot itself gets hidden. Now I'm going to just take it and pull it to the other side, and I decided to go ahead and give it a little bit of a twist, and that just made the scarf look a little bit more fun and have a little bit more character. Then I puffed that up a little bit more and glued the second knot, which is the middle knot, right to the other side of the neck. Using my fabric scissors, I just trimmed off the hanging part just so it wouldn't be quite so long, and so all of the ends were the same. And I'm just going to let that hang loosely like that. I went to my Cricut and I cut out the word snowman with some black vinyl, but I also created an offset, which means that it's just an outline of these letters in a different color. So I did that in white, and it's going to be hard for you to see, but I'm going to be just laying the black letters right on top of the white offset, and I'll be using the transfer tape to do that, and then both of them are stuck together. I'm going to place the vinyl down right around the scarf area, just a little bit higher, and just make sure that it's even before I actually press all of it down. And you can see how the white offset really makes those black letters pop. I'll have this whole quote, "In the meadow we can build a snowman," available as a free printable, but I'll also leave a link for the actual Cricut design in my description box. I wanted this sign to be a standing sign, so I'm using a large Jenga block, and I'm going to use that as support for the back. Then I'm going to put a tumbling tower block in the front to give that support in the front. You'll be able to see the one in the front, so of course I'm going to cover it up using some beautiful frosted greenery, some pine cones, some cedar branches, and a little bit of green boxwood. I added a little pine cone and some greenery to his hat and a little bit under the snowman quote, and I think this turned out super cute. This last project is my newest craft kit that I will have available on my Etsy shop. I'll have the link to my Etsy shop down in the description box. It's just an arched window that I had cut out with my machine. It's 1/4-inch plywood. And what I'm doing, and unfortunately you can't see it, is I just glued together 2 medium-sized tumbling tower blocks, and I will be adding those as part of the kit. You'll get the arched window, 2 of the tumbling tower blocks. You'll also get a length of white pom-pom and a little greenery peck. I used hot glue to attach the 2 tumbling tower blocks to the frame itself, and now I'm just cleaning up any of the excess glue. You'll have to excuse the close-up view. This is another part when my camera was in a magnified focus or a zoom focus. But what I'm going to do is just give the window frame and the blocks a nice dry brushing with some white. And that just ends up making them look just really old and faded. However, you can do it any color you want. If you want it really nice bright white or black or even a nice gray would look good. And I'm going to make sure that I go ahead and do all of the inside too, where all of those burn marks are where the laser cut out the wood. I use some hot glue just to glue the 2 ends of the strand of pom-poms together to form a circle, and this will become the base for our little wreath. Now I'm going to take the little pick and I'm going to be trimming off little tiny pieces. I want to be able to work with these and make them look like they're full-size greenery, but on a mini wreath. So you can cut them as big or as small as you want. I started cutting them on the larger side, and then I ended up trimming some of them a little bit smaller. We're going to end up using probably the majority of this little pick. I took some of the longer branches and I just glued them sort of vertically into each of the indentations of where the pom-poms were joined. I'm going to do that all the way around, and then I'm going to continue around again and add 2 more layers of greenery. So I want this to look like it's a pom-pom wreath, that the greenery is kind of coming out of it, and it just makes it look really pretty. This greenery has a little bit of a frost to it, so I thought it was the perfect accompaniment to my little snowball wreath. Once I felt I had enough greenery on my little wreath, I took the rest of it and hot glued it to one side of the window. I just kind of wanted there to be a little bit of some greens down at the bottom. And when I'm done with this part, I'm going to use my hot glue and I'm going to add some Epsom salts just to give this a little bit of a glitter look to it. Then I'll go ahead and glue on my little wreath, and this project is done. Now, if you get this craft kit from my Etsy shop, you can definitely do whatever you want with this. It doesn't have to look like mine. It can be completely different. All you need are your supplies and you're good to go. I always use hot glue to apply the Epsom salt. I just find that they stick better that way. I put some down, then pour on the Epsom salt, use the spoon, tap off the excess, and I've got a little bit of some crystallization happening. I think it looks really pretty on the bottom of this window. I hope you enjoyed my first crack at some winter DIYs. They are so cute and I just love them to bits. Please give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button and the notification bell. I've got more winter DIYs coming your way really soon. Bye for now.